Hey there. In this video, I'm going to show you how I changed the valve cover gasket to my Toyota Camry. You can check the description for tools and parts that I did use in the video, but without further ado, let's get started. We are going to take off these two screws to get rid of this engine cover. It's completely plastic, so let me just go ahead and loosen those screws. These are 10mm bolts, so it should come off fairly easy. Whoops. So it's just these two, then you can set that aside, and then when you do lift up, these will be kind of suctioned on. They're kind of just rubber on rods. So if I pull a little bit, there it goes. See, it's just rubber down on these rods. So that's how you get rid of the cover.
So we're going to start by disconnecting the battery, or at least the ground. It's a 10mm socket. You don't have to take it off too much. You just have to loosen it up and take it off. Set it aside in a safe place. Next, we are going to take off the ignition coil screws. There should be 4. I have one already taken out. I actually over torqued the screw and broke it off. I don't know if you'll be able to see right there, it's broken off, but I'll do a separate video later on how to deal with that. But right now we should just worry about this, and for you this. Just unscrew them. They're 10mm bolts, and just take them off, set them to the side. So once that's removed, what I'm going to do is just lay down a towel or something so that all the coils could rest on. Without getting dirty. I don't know if this is exactly necessary or not, but so you can see I had some oil leaking. So we're going to take off this bolt right here. This bolt is for connecting this little electrical component area. So all you got to do is a 10mm bolt. Just break it loose. And then it comes out. This is going to be kind of like your only main problem when taking off the cover. This kind of, as you can see, it's laying up against the inside of the cover. So when you do take it up, you'll have to kind of like go maybe higher on this end and slide out. Like if you come closer again and look, you'll see just the way it's laid out makes it difficult. But it's not impossible. Just be careful with this because it's plastic and it's subjected to a bunch of heat, so it can be brittle. But yeah, 10mm bolt. So to get this hose off, it's actually a lot easier to just take this part off, and then when you have the actual valve cover off, you can take it off from here. You have to pull it this way, but the problem is right here, if you look, you see you have this big ass air filter box. So it's hard to pull this way when you don't have that much clearance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the vice grip and just push this back, push this guy back. And then while it's loose, I'm going to slowly disconnect it right there, and then just let the clamp off. Okay? Make sure to move this hose clamp back with the vice grip. So just take the vice grip, clamp it, pull it back. Next, we're going to take off 10 10mm bolts. It's going to be 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So basically just on the opposite sides of these there's another, and then there's going to be 9, 10 in the center. So I also just want to show that I did have oil leaking. It was drowning out this third cylinder right here, and then, or at least the spark plug hole, and then the oil was coming around this side and then dropping down here. So the 10 screws that we moved that connected the valve cover to the rest of the engine is this one right here, that one right there, the other one right there, this one right here, this one right here, this one, and this one right here, this back here, this one right here, and then lastly this little annoying one back right there, that little black hole. It's take those 10 off, and then after you take that 10 off, you gotta remove this clamp and this hose right here. So okay, so once you got the vice grip on it, you want to slowly rock it kind of back and forth, push it away, and then this one's kind of a brittle one, so you got to be careful to go very slowly. Take it out and avoid it from snapping. Okay, there we go, got it there. All right. So the next thing we're going to do, I actually forgot to mention this, is there's just an electrical wire running down this way, so we're going to just disconnect it from the valve cover. We're going to take this off. It's another 10 millimeter. So we're just going to take it off and be careful not to drop anything into your spark plug walls, and then you can just kind of fold this over, move this kind of out of the way. Mine's cracked and very brittle. So I'm not sure if this is on all cars. It's maybe like someone else put this on here, another mechanic, or maybe not. This might have always been here, but there's this blue clip right here attached to the rest of this electrical wire that did come off with this nut. If you flick this thing back, it releases so that you can pull this wire out and then get a little bit of flexibility here. You can move it more to the side. Now I'm going to take a flathead and kind of pry in between to see if I can get a little bit of the cover off. Okay, so now with my flathead, I'm going to just kind of go in between the line right here. It's already, as you can see, it's already kind of off, and when I do get under, I kind of move it a little more. There we go. See, we want that kind of lift. So we're just trying to take the rest of it off. You can see I got like a lot of, oh, there we go. Got a lot of oil spilling around the sides. I'm gonna keep most of this debris from getting in there. Level it out, level it out. So the line for the spark plugs are gone. There should be a connecting line with the spark plugs. So here is the other side of the valve cover. Gasket comes around the side, this little lining, and then it connects right here, and this one should connect to this one, which it does. You can see that rubber part's right there. And then this one connects to this one, and then this one, it's broken right here. So I think something was going on and oil was getting in to this one. So now I think what we can do too is check this one out. So I think this one, let's see if this test if it was right. You want to hold this? It's actually just a regular pull. It's just very difficult to get the leverage when you have it on, but once you have it off, it's fairly easy to take off because you have the space to move. So what we're going to do after this is we're going to wash this down with some brake cleaner. We're going to then probably air dry it, and then after that we're going to put the new gasket on, and then we're going to seat it back on the engine. We're going to wash the cover up. So we're going to use brake parts cleaner, and we're going to spray it down.
Yeah, careful where you're going to
So we cleaned the valve cover and we let it sit dry overnight. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take this, the new gasket. It's a Fel-pro gasket. I got it from O'Reilly. We're going to take this and we're going to replace by seating the gasket. And so for this one, I looked around and said for the Fel-pro gasket, you do not need to use any type of sealer or sealant. They recommend you kind of just put it in dry, so that's what I'm going to do. They are the people who made it, so I trust their word on it. Okay. Sure that everything is in the crevices. Just seat it properly. Alright, now we just got to put this back on. I'm just kind of taking a look, inspecting. Okay, see, look, right here. Fucking plain sight. Anyway, take it off carefully, make sure it doesn't get dropped in. So now we're going to try and seat the cover. This might be kind of difficult because I'll have to come in at an angle. This electrical component is what makes it difficult. So maybe, yeah, if you can kind of pull it back. Give me the wire. Right there. Yeah, slow this in. Over here. Okay. Do this one here. Make sure everything is seated. Oh, how much fun fucking. And now, let's try to continue what we left off. I'm just gonna move this wire out the way. I'm recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This fucking wire. So this wire is what's making it difficult right there.
Oh, okay. It needs to go over it.
Yeah. So what I did is I just pushed the shit out of this to the side. The rest of it kind of actually came down.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it kind of.
Is it out?
Now I'm gonna take this slowly out carefully. It's squeezed in between this other. Which one? There we go.
That's good.
So we're gonna have to slowly torque it down. I think it's about 8 foot-pounds. I'm just gonna do it by feel. Oh, I just killed a fly with my hand.
Did it?
So I'm gonna take those 10 screws and we're gonna put them all back on. Tighten them down slowly. So we're going to start maybe with these center ones, and then I'll do one here, we'll do one here, another one there, there, and then similar to that. I'm just going to put the cap on before. Alright, there we go. We're going to reconnect these hoses very carefully and slowly. Just connect them. There's another one right here. Okay, I haven't put the clamps on yet, but because I'm going to put down, I'm going to put the bolts for these electrical components back on. And I'm also going to put this blue clip back onto where it was, so it just kind of goes onto this metal piece right here, and it just re-secures itself. And make sure any other electrical components that you may have taken out or unplugged, like this one here, I actually unclipped this one. I'm going to push that back in. Just want to put everything back in order so it's seated. Alright, so now I got the vice grips. So I'm going to reclamp these hoses, hose clamps. Okay. There we go, God.
And it fits nice right there.
Perfectly right there. Got that. Alright, now for this guy. Hopefully he'll be a lot more. Probably will be. There you go, right there. Also, I want to make sure that I have this clamp also seated back. Maybe it's like this. There we go. Now we're gonna put the ignition coils back in to their spots. Just want to be a little careful how you do these. Right here, this would be easier. If you want, you could just unplug them, put them in, and plug that back in. Is that the right one? Oh, you know what? Oops, that makes sense. Sorry, this ain't your hometown. Alright, so now we can just put the screws back in for these ignition coils.
Yeah, I got it.
Alright.
The broken one.
So right now I still have the stud left from a broken one that I took out. Successfully, I got it out, guys, so that's good. But now I'm gonna have to just find a replacement one. The dealer might charge like $5. I checked online, but online, if I try to buy one from out of California, it's about 67 cents. So probably buy it from out of California. So these are just, again, 10mm bolts. But definitely do not over tighten them. I'm not trying to make that mistake a second time. They should really just be snug. Would this make it? No, see, it doesn't even reach past it. That's fine.
So now we're going to put the ground back on. I'm just going to tighten it up so we can get the car to start.
So this is going to be the first start after reassembling everything. Okay, go ahead. Everything seems to be running fine. We used to have a lot of shaking going on, and a lot of oil coming in from the third spark plug coming out. There was a little bit of smoke before, and the RPMs would drop. Now it seems to be running a lot more healthily. So the next thing I'm going to do is probably change the spark plugs, but I still need to get another screw for this ignition coil over here. So now we're just going to replace the engine cover. It's pretty simple right now. It's easy if you line up these two, and then the rest will just kind of fall into place. You kind of just put pressure on those ones, and then you have your two screws. They're also 10mm bolts. You kind of just put them down. You could even just do it by hand if you want. Alright, there you go.
So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was my first time doing one like this, so let me know what was good and what could be improved for next time. I do want to mention that, after the first start, I was driving around and at like a red light I stopped and my RPMs went really low, like close to stalling. And so what I realized is that since I disconnected the battery for so long, I guess, from at least what I read on forums, is that the OBD2 had to relearn where the proper idle spot was. So the fix for that was turning the car on, pushing in the brake, putting the gear selector to drive, and then just leaving it like that while keeping my foot on the brake for about maybe 2-3 minutes, and then I slowly had my RPMs come back up around 800 to 1,000, and that fixed the problem. So if that happens to you, there's your fix. So if you plan on taking on this job, feel free to ask questions in the comments. I'll try to respond to them as soon as possible. And also, if you have done this job before, let us know in the comments, what your experience was like, and any tips you might have to share. Thanks for watching.